There's been a lot of weird processes, things that were done in a way that were there to help everybody and help the witnesses, the surviving witnesses. But I'm just ready for the normal court process and normal justice, and just get back to what we kind of learned in school, and that's what I want to see. I want to see just lay it out, transparency. Everybody gets to see what their evidence is, what our evidence is, and then we let the jury members decide.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well, you beautiful, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. Now, technically, this is video 3 of 3 today, but due to time differences and me being a time traveller, this is effectively video 2 of 2. Now, have you seen them all? If not, after this one, go and check them out. Because returning to normal, how can we say, normality, let's leave it there. Returning to normality, we do have to talk about the Idaho 4 case. Only briefly, chill out for all of you Idaho 4 content haters out there. Because I was going back over some old stuff, old interviews, which is something that I like to do in my spare time because I'm a fucking loser. So I was looking back, and it was about 8 months ago where Steve Goncalves was talking to News Nation. And you have just listened to a clip of that interview where Steve Goncalves very clearly states about the way that this case has been handled, and the fact that elements of this case has been handled in a strange, bizarre way that you wouldn't normally expect to see, and it had been done for the surviving roommates. Now, we're obviously 8 months down the track now, aren't we? And we've seen a lot of things happen subsequently. We've seen the demolition of 1122 King Road. Now, that seems to have been done against the will of at least one of the families. At least one. We know kind of Ethan Chapin's family are well and truly in with the Greek row and, the fraternities and sororities. We know that. And maybe they just know which side of the bread is buttered for them, and it's better for them to be sort of, how do I say, it's better to be inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in. Is that right? I don't know, one or the other, but they've chose to go down that route. Now, have they done that and sacrificed their true feelings? I've spoken about this before. Is it that they're just going to bite their tongue because they've got, obviously, the rest of the family to think about, siblings who are continuing their studies at University of Idaho? But anyway, that's by and by. My question to you, and I want you to let me know down below, is do you feel that it's right that this heinous act happened, and then the way in which it's been dealt with, the way in which it's been handled by law enforcement and those around it have done so in a way to seemingly protect the surviving roommates? Now, I ask, protect them from what? Now, we have multiple times gone over the 8-hour time delay, and I still say that the 8-hour time delay is a felony. They had a right to, or should I say a duty to report what had happened at that house as soon as they knew that had happened. And I don't believe that happened. Now, we hear that they are material witnesses. We hear that at least one of them's a witness, that they saw something. And again, I feel that is not necessarily the case. I don't believe that Dylan Mortensen saw anything. I truly don't. Unless someone proves otherwise, I don't see how it would have been important for law enforcement to say that she was not a witness early on, unless law enforcement felt that there could be someone else out there who was going to place them at risk. And I still feel the same way. Now, if law enforcement feel 100% and the system feels they've got their man, then why do they have to protect anybody? Why do they have to protect anything? If you've got someone in custody who you've got the evidence to prove that they've done the crime, then why have a gag order? What is the gag order there for? Now, I don't think for 1 second that Idaho gives a toss about a fair and right trial. They don't care. They just care about retaining this at Latah County. That's what they want. They want it to be controlled by them. They don't want it going elsewhere. We've seen the stink that they've just put up against a request to change venue. Do you know what I mean? I think that is actually a warranted request. I feel that should have a change of venue because of the profile of it and the size of this place. I think that the points made by Ann Taylor and her team were very, very valid. But it does keep bringing me back to when we see different court documents come up. There is always these side notes that say that things are being gagged to protect specific people. A lot of the time that's not sort of said who it is. We have speculated on whether there is other witnesses who have not yet been named, or an informant, for instance. But if you go back and you listen to what Steve Goncalves said, it would seem that the entire dynamic, this entire gag order was perhaps set up for Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. That's how I am now interpreting it. Everything we're seeing and everything that's being hidden is to protect them. We have seen the prosecution try and approach Bethany Funk, and they went through hell and high water to avoid that happening, that meeting. And I believe now, more than ever, that the reason why a grand jury was convened was to stop the prosecution from speaking to Bethany Funk. And I believe it's these little things that you hear inside these interviews from way back when, and then you take all of this, what we've seen since, run into, take that into consideration. I feel that law enforcement are not 100% sure what happened here. Now, they might feel that Brian Kohberger was involved, but do they believe that Brian Kohberger had someone working alongside him? Now, we've spoken about this recently. I was going to touch on Forensic Frenzy and what she had spoken about. I know she truly and firmly believes, or seems to believe, Brian Kohberger is guilty, but I believe that she feels that he did it with somebody else, potentially through the online survey that he put out. Perhaps he reached out, got somebody, and the rest is history. But there's just something here. There's something when I consider what Steve Goncalves has said, and when I think about the gag order, and I think about all these little statements that are being made about protecting people. It's almost like they're saying we have to protect this because it puts their life at danger. Sometimes that is literally what they state. But what are they protecting them from? And why has this entire case seemingly been structured in a way to protect them? At the end of the day, they were in this house. They weren't survivors in a sense that they are attacked and they survived their injuries. They just happened to be at a place where a heinous act took place, and they got off scot-free, without injury, without anything. Now, I don't want to take away from it that, I wouldn't want to be in that position. I can't really get my head around how someone would feel. And yes, I know there's going to be people who turn around and say, but they are witnesses. Freudian slip. They are victims, because at the end of the day, that would have formed some sort of traumatic response, because they were there, and that the following morning to wake up and everybody in the house has been murdered around you. But again, if Dylan Mortensen, for instance, saw this person and she has been shown a picture of Brian Kohberger and she said, yeah, I think that's the guy. I'm pretty sure that's the guy. And James Fry saying it is, isn't it? But do you know what I mean? And they've got the evidence that you have. What all of you guys who believe Brian Kohberger is guilty, even you guys don't say, we believe it's Brian Kohberger and we don't need to see anything else. What we've seen is more than enough. You're also convinced that there is an abundance of more in the background. And I want to see that more. We need to see that more. And at the moment we can't see it. But if they've got it, then what are they protecting people from? Why? And again, I asked the question one last time, and let me know down below. Why has the dynamic of this entire situation seemingly been structured to protect these two girls? in such a way, skipping the preliminary hearing, going to grand jury, all of the gag orders, because seemingly that's what Steve Goncalves is alluding to when he made that statement that you listened to at the beginning. Let me know down below what you think, and I'll catch you all in the next one.